By Senator Rick Scott, who will be in the thick of crafting phase three, as Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell called it yesterday, of relief and stimulus. Good morning, Senator. Welcome.
Good morning. Hugh, the biggest thing we can do is figure out how to, if we want to do stimulus, get the coronavirus deal fixed. I mean, that's way more than any money we're going to spend. If we can figure out how to fix this, people are going to get back to work. People are going to go back to restaurants, going to go back to Disney World. That's the biggest thing we can do is deal with the coronavirus.
How does that translate into the bill that will be moving through the Senate, in your view? Yesterday in the Post, you should know, I said I would gather Mitt Romney and Rick Scott as former governors and two senators recently arrived with vast private sector experience and just dig everything out of their collective brains. You two. Chuck Grassley's a great legislator. We respect that. We respect Lindsey Graham. But you two know what works in the private sector. What's your advice?
Well, first off, I don't believe we ought to be taking taxpayer dollars and bailing out big companies. All right. I think we have to be fiscally responsible because somebody has to pay this money back, and we have to say this money, whatever we're going to spend, is going to help hourly workers, the people that rely on tips, our small businesses, and we're not going to do mandates on small businesses. They're going to basically shut their doors. That's what we got to think about. How do you make sure we keep our small businesses in business, and how do you make sure the dollars that we spend, because somebody will have to pay it back, whether it's you or me, our kids and our grandkids, how do we make sure it goes to the people we want to help, not just to go to everybody around the country, which sounds really nice. Everybody would like to have a check, right? But I want to make sure it's very directed to the people that got hurt.
All right, now, Senator, in that regard, I agree. I have a couple ideas I want to bounce off of you. First of all,
Okay.
There are a lot of people like Bob Iger who are terrific entrepreneurs who will come to work for $1 a year and bring their skill. You know, OPM lost its director yesterday. I used to run OPM. But you can go get Bob Iger if you guys pass special government employee authority such as existed in WW2. Do you think that's going to be in the bill?
Well, it'd be great if we could figure out how to get talent like Bob Iger and some of the others in here, figure out distribution chains. Look at what we've got to do. We have got to get these testing sites up. We've got a choice right now. Are we going to go down the path of South Korea, where we have less than 1% mortality? Or are we going to go down the path of Italy, where they have 7+% mortality? I want to go down the path of South Korea. We've got to get testing sites open now, not in 2 weeks. We've got to get them open this week. We've got to close our border. We've got to make sure that we know where all of our protective gear is. We can't expect nurses to go to work if they don't have protective gear. And so I've been talking to mayors, sheriffs, police chiefs. They're struggling to get protective gear. And then we have people out there price gouging. I mean, this is crazy.
So who is the greatest supply chain? The greatest supply chain executive I know is Disney. I mean, if they put out Frozen, and all of a sudden I've got the two princesses on every shelf that my granddaughter wants, I would go grab it. I mean, I just think you ought to give yourselves the authority to go get the people who know how to do this from the private sector. Number two, You're a Florida governor. You know the Endangered Species Act sequesters property, right? Why don't we just go buy all of that property, put the money into the hands of the developers who've been screwed for years, and let them go innovate and entrepreneur, meanwhile saving species?
Well, you could see so many examples like that in government, where people in government think they're so much smarter than the private sector. I mean, I said early on, let the people that go to create tests do it. Don't let the government have to go do it. I mean, LabCorp and Quest, companies like that, they've been doing this for decades. Let them go do it. Let them go figure this out. They'll take their responsibility. Let them go do it. But we slow everything down waiting for a government response. And by the way, one thing people have to understand, healthcare is a local delivery system. It is not delivered by the federal government. The federal government can pay for it, but it's based on every community has a different delivery system. And so every delivery system has to figure out how do you protect workers, how do you get tests done, and then our local electeds have to figure out how do you make sure people are quarantined so we stop the spread of this. That's what South Korea did. That's what Taiwan did. And so they have low mortality. Italy didn't, and look over there. They've got 7+% mortality.
All right, now, Governor, I want to focus you on one other thing, which you will know intimately well. Some Americans are going to need to keep moving, even as the airlines make it very difficult and quarantines make it impossible. We're going to need the FBOs out there, which I'm sure you've used forever, as I have. These are, the small airports out there and private commercial aviation, the people got crushed in 2008 who worked in that industry because everybody stopped moving and the government made it hard. Do you have in your sights a way to keep those pilots and those stewards and those FBO employees going by nationalizing it for a couple of months?
Well, look, there's a way to do that, but it starts with make everybody comfortable that flies. Say, look, we're going to be very careful who we let into our airport. We're going to text everybody before you come in. If you have a virus, you're not flying. I don't care who you are. You are not getting on a plane, and you're not going to take a chance of tainting other people. I know I've talked to the airports. I've talked to the ports. They're spending way more money in cleaning. Now what's happening? They're having shortages. So what are we doing to help them make sure we solve all these shortages? We've got to be honest with the public. This is where we are. This is where we need to be. This is where we all have to participate to get there. And whether it's through cleaning supplies, through self-quarantining, through making sure the right people get the test, all these things, we all have to come together, and we can. This is a personal response. You can have an impact on whether you get coronavirus or not. Do it. Don't rely on the government to tell you can't go on a beach in Florida. Do the right thing.
Yeah, that beach in Florida clip I discussed with Dr. Fauci yesterday, that was very disturbing to me, Governor. I wanted Chris Christie to be immediately pressed into service to get off the damn beach, right?
Every governor has to take responsibility in their state for social distancing. In Florida, it's a big deal on the beaches. In another state, it might be something else. But every governor has to show up and say, I'm going to figure out this social distancing. And locally, we've got to figure out, because it'll be a local effort, this testing program. And nationally and locally and state, we got to figure out and make sure we have the right protective equipment. I want people to look. I hope I don't get sick. I'm in quarantine right now, just as to be careful. I don't infect anybody else because I was around somebody. I don't have a temperature, so I don't have a risk. But if I do get sick, I want those healthcare workers to show up.
You and I are in the same boat. I'm not sick. I've been out and about, so I'm just staying in my house. But let me ask you, Senator, that worries me because again, I go back. You and Romney, Governor Romney, Senator Romney, have been both governors and very successful private business executives. I don't know who's running Leader McConnell's 3 task force. I was hoping that you and Governor Romney were on A and B. Do you know who's running the 3 task force?
Yeah, I think I saw it. It's seniority based. It's tied to Wicker's doing. I think because he's head of commerce, he's doing. I think the bigger companies. I think Rubio and somebody else is doing the small companies because Rubio's the chair of the small business one. So and then Chuck is responsible for another part of it, Chuck Grassley. So look, the Senate is a seniority based system. So it's just the way it is. So my job is to get
that's not good.
To constantly talk to people about what we're trying to do. Look, I think we have an existing unemployment system in this country that works. I mean, in Florida, we have $4 billion in the bank. All right, we have an existing system. If you lose your job, you can immediately go down there and you can go get paid because your employer's already paid into it. Why aren't we using that system? We're going to create a whole new system with a lot of mandates. It's going to shut down a lot of small companies' jobs. I mean,
okay. Well, stop for a second, Senator. You've got me worried here because God, I love every senator, even the Democrats. You got the best job in the world as far as I'm concerned. But you and Romney actually know how business works. Are you not on every phone call talking to people about how the relief will work?
No. That's not the way the Senate works. It's a seniority-based system, and so everybody there believes their ideas are best. And look, everybody's got good ideas. So, but I'm working hard. I'm talking to people, get my message out about what we ought to be doing, and I'm going to keep doing it every day. That's why it's easy when you're in quarantine to just constantly make phone calls. I'm constantly talking to mayors. I'm talking and sheriffs, police chiefs. The people around the healthcare system in Florida. So I'm doing, and people around the country, just based on my business background, getting ideas of what can we be doing, talking to the White House, say, what should you be doing now to push this along, talking to different heads of federal agencies, and just keep solving problems. That's what I do for a living.
Okay, I want to lodge one idea in that head that we'll be talking to so many people. You are a governor. You know how much property is sequestered by federal regulation via the Clean Water Act or the Endangered Species Act. If we're going to hose down the country, let's buy that property that the environmentalists want and get that money into private hands so that they can repurpose it to private sector development. I mean, just go do Teddy Roosevelt stuff.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I did a lot of that when I was governor. Make sure we got it back in the and plus get somebody that was responsible for it, and they pay taxes.
Yeah, and the environmentalists will be happy. Double purpose relief. Defense spending and environmental spending. Senator Scott, come back early and often. I mean, if you're at home, let's talk every day. And by the way, please call your colleagues. And I'm sorry that I can't believe that you and Romney aren't running these two. Oh, gosh. Oh, well, it's America.
20 years.
Yeah. Senator Rick Scott, thank you, my friend.